Welcome to the third episode of The Good and the Bad and the Rugby, South African edition. We're back again. The boys are all back. Bobo made it back from his golf trip, which is a lovely change of pace for you.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks for making the effort.
Didn't work yourself to death.
Oh, I did. I made sure I had to host the Workers' Olympics. You should have seen how those athletes were. They were amazing. I mean, I think the maintenance from the links won it, the tug of war. Yeah, no, this is my tough life, you know. Sometimes you have to do things like this.
Hard to come back to Joburg from leaving George.
Oh, my friend.
The celeb life.
Life.
Okay, I'll leave it.
Fully kitted out in his old school still Knox gear.
Woo,
Schala!
Trikas!
Why no suit this week?
I actually just got changed.
Okay.
I guess for me it was amazing seeing Etienne Renier. He's gonna give me so much crap about this. I mean, we played together at the Lions, then at Saracens, and the whole lead up to the whole thing is he's in camp with Trikas, and then he's our sweetheart. Well, he's not. Maybe he'll give me a
but like, what a special human being.
Yeah, dude.
100%.
I mean, taking a shot in the head because he is like that.
Yeah.
Took a shot in the head because he was trying to save some girl. And 2 strokes under the age of 40.
Yeah.
I mean, the man to still be surviving. And the one thing that he enjoys the most is wrestling Drickers.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
But what shape on Eta's though? Eta's looking good.
Yeah.
Etienne is really
the
looking
one
good.
thing that he wanted to do UFC,
Yeah.
and from a medical perspective, he got canned. He said,
I remember there was like
Yeah.
like an intercon or
he wanted to
something.
do an amateur world champion.
Yeah, that's the thing.
He had a billing for that. And then, because of what he's been through, I mean, he had a stroke whilst working at Supersport, which affected his speech.
Yeah.
I mean, those kind of things.
his
But-
speech was always horrendous anyway.
And then the other time, it actually, he had a little stroke, which muscles on his face sort of like stayed up. So all the time, it looked like as if he was grinning, which was quite funny.
It's very ominous because I remember working
You just tell him
with
the
Etas.
joke, and then he's like, so it was quite funny.
and well educated as well. I think he's got 3 degrees.
No,
so
he's a hard
he's a
worker.
nutter.
He's a complete nutter. And then someone that made it all the way from the airport straight to the studios.
Woohoo!
We're gonna discuss the fight as well. To my right, one of the youngest, one of the up and comers, one of the next generation, the young guns, whatever you want to call them.
Hard as nails.
Elrigh Louw. Ella, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. I
Yeah,
really
thank you for
appreciate
having
it.
me. A bit of jet lag, but it's fun being here.
We'll just turn
Well,
turn
no.
your head to Schala so we can see that.
Is it actually a bachelor? Is it actually a hangover from the fight, or is it actually jet lag?
I think it's a mixture. Eh?
Run me, Ella, actually, to that point, run me through the 24 hours after the test in Perth. Okay, final whistle goes. What happens?
Yeah, final whistle goes. Went to the hotel. Obviously, had a bit of a kontiki, which went on for a while. We had some fun there, just being in the hotel. And then next morning, woke up, straight to breakfast, and went straight to the fight. And after that, we went to a bar full of South Africans.
But that's
Rikus was singing.
What time was the fight?
It was like at 12 in the afternoon, yeah. So there was still a lot of daylight left.
Yeah.
a lot of daylight to burn.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Rikus and Joe Black was singing there, so we had a lot of fun. And then we went to Drick's after party at the hotel, so it was,
And
quite,
from there
it was quite an experience.
Between the after party and your flight back to South Africa, how long was that time? Did you at least have a bit of a sleep? And
Yeah, no, we had a whole
Okay.
day. So we only flew back yesterday night at 12.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
so
Economy class, right?
luckily not.
Luckily, that's a long way.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the atmosphere. Briz, what were they calling it? Brisfontein and Perth. Perth-Toria.
Toria.
It was, I mean, yeah, sure. There's a lot of, we're lighthearted. We can laugh about it now. There was a lot of pressure building up into this tour. Obviously, we came off the win against Portugal. Guys were happy we went there, but we knew that firstly we don't tour well in Australia historically. Since kind of going out of Super Rugby, we find ourselves in a bit of a dead spot as far as Australia is concerned. We haven't beaten the Wallabies in Brizzy since I think it's 2012 or whatever it was, and we haven't beaten them 4 times on the bounce ever. So what was the chat before you left, before you got on the plane? What was Rassie saying? What was Tony Brown saying? What was the vibe in the squad?
Yeah, I think it was actually quite weird because we didn't have anything on Australia.
Yeah.
We haven't played them in a long time. I think 2022 we played them last.
Yeah.
So it was we just focused on our plan and what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And with Tony Brown and Jerry, I think they also didn't know what to expect from us. So it was also, especially that first game, I wouldn't say easier.
Yeah.
But I think there was a lot more opportunities in the second one.
Ella, when you look at it, you're in the squad and everything is working out and they're giving you a chance for the weekend. What was your sort of first sort of reaction, knowing the opportunity that you were given in that first test?
Quite nervous. Obviously, I was in a squad and I was left out for a few years, and coming back and getting the opportunity to actually get some quality game time under the belt, but also a lot of excitement for me to be able to play 40, 50, almost 60 minutes in 2 test matches was massive for me. So I enjoyed it.
What was it for the two of you, Bobs, when you got the call up the first time? Schalla, what went through your head? Ella's got what is it now? 7 tests? 6, 7?
6, yeah.
That first 10, 15 games, do you ever touch the ground between them, or is it just what goes through your head in that early kind of stages of your career?
First of all, I didn't go to past 10, which I'm so happy to say and admit to it. But I mean, it was one of those things, like talking from my experience playing for the Springboks. I got called up in 2 different years. So the first one was 2003. I mean, it's like you dream so much about this. You work so hard for it. You think about the days you used to wake up. You think about that one person that said, like, you'll never make it. And then you keep on pushing yourself for that. And then you finally get that call. And all of a sudden, you just like, it's almost when you get that call, I got nervous because now I was like, you've always wanted to be here. What are you going to do about this opportunity, right? And that to me was always something that gave me the drive to always trying to seek to be in that space again. And then when Jake called me up straight from injury to go to Scotland, end of the year tour after 2004, that was amazing. And then when Peter de Villiers called me in 2008, I thought to myself, why are you calling this funny? I was like, leave me alone. I don't want to be this pressure. No, it was something that was important for me, having 2 ACL injuries, missed out on a good 18 months of rugby. So I could not build momentum. And then to be called up to the Springboks, it was like, I know I can do it. I know I could have played a bit more, whatever, but injuries, this was part of the game. It's always and will be always a special time.
Schalla?
Yeah, mine was a weird journey, right? So thought I could be in the squad with Jake. That didn't happen. Then Peter de Villiers in 2008 took over. Got opportunity, played against my first season with Italy. Fantastic. And then sort of didn't get picked again. Then played, there was like Bismarck got injured, or someone got banned. I think Bismarck got banned. John got injured, and we beat actually New Zealand away.
Was there no one available?
Yeah, there was no one
Talk about an impact player. Talk about an impact.
And then the next weekend, I started against Australia in Perth. My first start ever, lost. Then didn't play again till 2012, when Heineke took over, and then played a couple of test matches there. Not really ever starting, and then pretty much my career is mostly, then retired, and then got pulled back into the fold with Rassie. I must say it is weird within your career how your mentality towards the game changed, because you always think you want to make a particular team, but then later on you start focusing on what you actually can control.
Yeah.
And I think you always aim to make a side or a particular position, or be the starting 8 or starting 2 or whatever that might be. But then eventually, if someone else comes in, probably don't like you or does like you, and then you start. The mentality for me changed because I only enjoyed when I played number 2, and then eventually it changed to saying, well, I love rugby. Irrelevant what number I play. If I play 16 or 2, if I got to get an opportunity to play, I don't know when the last game would be. And that sort of gave me back my enjoyment toward rugby, because you're also focused on selection week in and week out, and it steals energy when you're not selected and you work your ass off, and that's just life. You know, things doesn't go your way. But for me, it's if I look back, I regret not working harder.
In what way?
Because I guess you could go through a stage where you think you've made it, but that is exactly the time when you should work harder. And then when you get, for myself, when I moved abroad to Saracens, then there was a supporting system that showed me, and your peers works hard. And I think what they've got at the box as well now that is phenomenal is their work ethic is phenomenal. Right. And it's a lot easier to work hard within a group than only be the 1 or 2 or 3 guys that works hard. And when you've got that culture built around you where it's a great place to play or work, and they've got a great work ethic, and it's in a culture that you want to be part of, that's amazing. So from my perspective, it's just I would never regret anything about rugby, but I'm thankful for the memories, and for me it was a profession that I loved.
I mean, I'm obviously quite intimately aware, and I think most South Africans are, about the start of your career, going from the Cheetahs to the Kings, playing in what was then the Pro 14, and kind of making that jump away from, should we say, away from the bigger unions almost. I mean, you have an opportunity to go to PE, which is a lot of work, and
I guess you want to go just for game time, right?
Yeah, no, definitely.
So that's my question, is like, what influenced the decision to go? Because there were options, and I mean, there were options internationally as well at that stage. What made you decide to go to the Kings? Because we were still, it was still Super Rugby days back then, and I mean, the opportunity was there. But I mean, what Robbie at the Kings was offering was a lot of game time, a leader in a squad, and this was to a 20-year-old kid. So is that kind of what made the decision to go to PE, or how did it play out in your head?
Yeah, I think if I remember it right, and I think I do, is you still phoned me about everything, and we kind of spoke about it, and we were weighing up our options, and like you just said, I think game time at that age is you can't really put a price on that. We were speaking about going overseas and whatnot, but at that stage, I don't think you must. Well, that's my personal opinion, but you shouldn't chase a paycheck when you're 20 years old. I think you must, if you want a successful career, start playing rugby first.
There's no sense in worrying about the paycheck.
Yeah. The paycheck will come.
The paycheck will come.
Except Bob's went to the Lions a couple of times.
You're so right. It is all about putting yourself in the picture. The only way people can sort of, and yourself, enjoy what you can bring is by being picked. Yeah. I mean, probably all of us would say the best coach is the one that picks you. Yeah. And the other guy who never picked you, you're like, you do have a bit of, that guy.
Is there about that that you mentioned, and we don't have to mention names, but I mean, both of you, probably the three of you, must have had moments where you think, has the coach got a knife in? Has the coach got a bit of a perspective about me? I mean, Rassie seems, you can correct me, the three of you can correct me, but it seems like Rassie's a little bit more transparent in the way he approaches, especially the younger guys in the group. But I mean, have you had that moment where you think, I think this is a coaching issue, or I think the coach says this or thinks this about me?
I think it's both, right? Because for the coach not to see how talented you are, maybe there's something that you are doing too that makes it hard for him to sort of back you. I think the transparency comes from having communication to really understand, because like you mentioned, I mean, selection is subjective. People have a perception of who you are and how you act. They've never seen you in a group. So from their research, speaking to someone, maybe you're having a bad day that day, that person says, nah, I met him one day. That guy he's rubbish. He's garbage. He doesn't sort of respect people. And people can get that perception about you. And all of a sudden, the coach doesn't see what maybe you trying to put to him. So for myself, I've always thought the best thing for me to do if I'm not getting opportunity or I'm to look in myself. What can I do better? Because there's no other way you can always have another person determine your future, because it's always going to start from you. And if they don't pick you, it's fine, because you're going to get better, because you didn't hang up your lip and start feeling entitled. You just said, you know what, I'm going to work better. I'm going to get better. I'm going to be smarter. And that helps you at the end, right? Because there's a lot of players who sit around and said, I mean, I've got guys I've played against at school who thought that they were the business. And that first time when you think you're the business, that's when it's your end of your game. I always say to myself, I'll stop playing once I don't want to be that guy, you know?
Yeah.
Because then I know that my competitive energy is gone.
But my viewpoint is a bit different from that perspective. There's loyalty goes both ways. So if you sign the contract, you need to perform and you need to put the effort in. And the same side, the coach needs to give you feedback. So a lot of the times in the earlier days, there wasn't a lot of feedback coming from coach to player. And so from my perspective, it's they want to sweet coach you to keep you in the system and keep you not to go somewhere else. And for me, it is rather be honest and say to the player, look, I don't want the type of player you are, or you're not pulling a weight, or what that. There needs to be that transparency and that honesty to either tell the player where he needs to improve or not, or why you're not picking him. Then at least the player knows what he needs to work on. Because when you're in La La Land and you don't know why you're not being picked, and or there's been said you're going to be on rotation, we're going to give the other player a chance, and you wait 2 or 3 games and the rotation never comes back. You're like, oh my goodness, you said that. And that's where trust is very important between coach and player. And what I've experienced, and you can tell me maybe it's changed, but within the Springbok setup, it was very transparent. It's not a one-on-one session. I've been with Springbok coaches where when we talk as hookers and we all get different messages, and you go, what the hell is this? You know, because the players talk as well. Where our conversations with Rassie was all 3 hookers was there. There's no there's guys in the message. Then you exactly know where the rotation would be. And what is interesting, if a coach tells you you're playing in 3 weeks' time or next week, and he keeps to his word, even if they've lost or won, then you build loyalty towards you as coach. And that is one thing that as Rassie has been phenomenal with in my time, maybe different now, but I mean, he did an amazing rotation from beating Oz twice, and he changed the whole squad. How many changes did he make? 14? Or
10
changes.
Yeah.
So that is pretty phenomenal. And I don't know what was said before the changes, or did you know there's going to be changes?
Yeah, I think it was always, like you said, Rassie was always open with us, and he told us that he's not making any promises, but that this is his plan and this is what he wants to do. So luckily we got the result in the first test, and I think that made it a bit easier for him to make the rotations at the second test. And I think we just showed what type of depth we have in South Africa rugby by making 10 changes, and you still get the 5 points in Australia.
The question I've got, because it's hard to determine being a couch potato, is it that we have got so much depth because we do have phenomenal talent and phenomenal players within a great system, or where is Australia currently? Because you've played other teams and you've experienced other competition. How do they rate, and how was it on the pitch?
That's difficult to answer. I think they are, but I don't know if you can call it a crossroad or. But I think definitely there has to be some sort of change. I think they also have a young squad. They're really rebuilding now, but in my opinion, they will either have to make a step up, or things can go downhill quite fast in Australia.
I had a conversation. I mean, you came up in the conversation. Sasha came up in the conversation. Had we been Australia or in Australia, are we confident that, let's say, for example, we had AFL and we had league, and then rugby union under that. Are we confident, bearing in mind that those two codes pay a little bit better, there's a little bit more public support for it, are we confident that if we had that a guy like Sasha would choose rugby over rugby union over league or whatever the alternative is? That a guy like Ella wouldn't go, well, I'll just rather go and play league. I don't have to go and play union. And I mean, that Max Jorgensen kid that came off the bench, his old man played for the Wallabies a couple of years ago. And I find myself thinking, bearing in mind where they are and kind of how they're set up, he's clearly a very talented young player. Had it not been for the fact his old man played for the Wallabies, would he possibly have said, well, fuck it, I'm rather going to go the route of league or AFL? Is it that we just don't have any competition in the way of rugby? So a guy like Ella, who's a natural talent, natural athlete, picks it because it suits him, because there's no other alternatives. It's not like you're going to go play lawn bowls.
Yeah, I think it goes back to our culture, right? We're lucky that rugby is such a big game in this country. And I can't even, in my head, I know you're speaking hypothetically, I can't even imagine having another game competing with it.
Because you want to play for the Boks, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's that real thing. And especially when you're winning.
Yeah,
that's a secret.
You know, so when you're winning, it's such an attractive sort of place you want to be in. As an individual, as a player, you want to be in that space because you're seeing how successful other players are becoming and how they are getting better in that environment. You sort of look at yourself and you say, you know what, I want to be part of that. I want to jump on the gravy train, you know, because you do have those ambitions. And it's sad that there is that opportunity in Australia where players can venture off and play other different sports. But at the same time, you have to get your house in order. You have to make that product attractive to me. You have to come up with something more than the sport. I think this is why the Springboks is working, because it's more than the game.
Yeah,
it's seeing young, successful people becoming better South Africans. The way that they showcase, the way they walk around. I mean, I know the Springboks had a training at my boys' school. I mean, you should have seen those boys. Those boys, my son he was in tears. He didn't know what to do. He was so excited. Like when he gets too excited, he loses his mind, you know? And that's the type of influence the Springboks have. That's more than the game.
Yeah.
And I think once you get your house in order and it becomes more than about the game, then people want to aspire to be better people because of what they see.
We are just quite lucky.
Yeah, I guess.
That it's traditionally such a strong sport in South Africa. And it's played by all.
Yeah.
By all.
I mean, I looked at the Boks squad. You have Becker Agricultural School for Mount which is like, to the viewers, that's far away from everything. That is like just past the middle of nowhere. And then there's, I mean, Rassie coming from King William and Dale College and Transvaal, but you still have the kind of, like the front row was Grey College, Boys Iron Paul Gym. So you look at it, like the traditional feeder schools are all there. But then there's 5 or 6 guys that just somehow just come through the ranks and they step up to the global stage. I don't want you to say it, I'll say it. Had it not been for the rain in Perth, it could have gotten very ugly for the Wallabies.
Yeah. I think we all saw that. You know, for me, what you consider as a good game is a good performance, like small things done well. Don't worry, Ella. I saw that first kick. Not your fault. Not your fault. Not your fault. Not your fault. I mean, if someone came in my eye line, it would have been different.
And it's Marika Koryabesi as well. So I mean,
I can imagine
it's like a solar eclipse. Like
and then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, what happened to the light? But to me, it was the recovery from that moment on how you just went to task.
Yeah.
Sasha knocking on that ball goes back to task. His first kick he misses in Australia goes back to task. Like for me, those kind of small things, you know, like there's times when ball is not in play, and it's and you see Jesse having a crack, speaking to the guys, giving the messages, filtering the messages through because he's an outside defender. So he has to get the numbers. If the numbers are not spreading out, if the guys, you know what I mean, everyone keeping each other honest. And I'm looking at this and I'm checking the weather. I'm like, this is horrendous.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we score a counter-attacking try. Did you see who was the first to congratulate Pelele? Jan Hendrik. And he was the first one who passed the ball off that ruck. And that to me is those small increments that makes this team special, because it takes a special person to sacrifice themselves to make sure that everyone gets the best out of it.
For me, I see it. I don't. Although the point on the board is a reflection of what happens during the day.
Yeah.
But on all days, some days you're on and some days you're off, and you need 2 or 3 players to be off, and then the team struggles, right? So I look at it as from an effort area and skill area perspective. Yeah. And for me, it's unbelievable if you change the mindset to effort area and skill area. Effort area is quite easy. Is you don't get up, you're not physical, you don't. Yeah. And what the team has is there's guys that is willing to put their bodies on the line and they go in hard. From a physicality perspective, they go. They get up, they work, they get the defensive line. Mistakes, skill errors will happen. They will knock a ball. They will make a forward pass. Do not think for once as a player or as a supporter that anyone wants to make a mistake. But it does happen. And people go, oh, he kicked it out again or missed the kick. No one wants to miss a kick. So for me, is when I look at the Springboks, I'm like sitting like a dad to a kid. Well, now a couch potato sitting there.
Yeah, I was about to say. Don't let the cool hat fool you.
No, but it's amazing for me to see the team where they've evolved from way back to where they are now. It is, you've got 23 guys, and I guess it's not just the 23, it is the guys during the week as well, prepping the guys properly for a weekend. And for me, it's I don't care about the score at the end, although it's amazing to win, but the way the guys play and the love they have for each other on the pitch, that's something I honestly so miss. That camaraderie, that gees, that culture. It is, and it's, if I can say it, cherish that, because when it's gone, it is gone, because you will never, ever, ever have that feeling again.
But I mean, to that point, when Ella arrived, and we were discussing the fact that you went to the UFC after the fight, and Schala's first question was, so did the boys delay their flights to hang out?
Or did they miss it?
And that's the thing, is like you wanna be there because you enjoy the 80 minutes is lekker, and it's like it's where you want to be and it's what you want to do. But the fact that it seems to be that there's a group that enjoys each other's company, that looks from the outside in, it looks like it's a decent bunch of guys together that like having a good time together. After the Perth test, there must have been a little bit of business spoken to just say, guys, listen, we're going on a bit of an extended break now, and probably the 2 guys that you want least to have idle time on their hands sitting over there. But did the coaches say, look, guys, I mean, not everyone's going to be involved with the All Blacks when they come to town, or whatever the case may be, but please, like, you can't be going hell for leather now. You can't be reckless now. But was there a bit of that?
They're athletes now.
Hey,
that's the thing.
Let the main thing stay the main thing. That was our call. Let the main thing stay the main thing.
Who said, calm down? Did anyone say that?
I don't think. I think it's more a responsibility thing that you know is always there. So I think most of the guys, it's not something that has to be spoken. It's something that you know. Obviously, you have the Bok jersey on for 80 minutes, but you represent your country. You represent the Springboks when you go out. So
beautifully said.
Yeah, well said. I'm gonna throw you under the bus just quickly. I need to know who enjoyed the 24 hours after the Perth test the most. Who's the guy that? Because in the first episode, Bob's told the story about him going out with Jerry Collins and seeing places and missing his flights and all sorts. Who's the guy that you thought on Sunday might not make it home in one piece?
No, I don't think the 2 guys I'm going to mention enjoyed it in that way you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I think Gcobani and Sia definitely.
Yeah.
They were going flipping mad there.
Yes, they were
videos
insane.
I think they were full of spit and blood after the fight. They were ringside. So if you just see the way they celebrated after the Driekus victory, it was massive for them. I don't think they stopped talking about it. I think they're still busy.
Did you see that one podcast where the guy is talking about Drickers? And then he goes, "Did you see that giant down Drickers?" That's Evan. The American is going absolutely nuts about Evan. But I mean, Evan is big. Then you get Errigh, that is a man mountain. He's a giant. And I mean, we are fortunate to have some proper athletes and big.
But
big
how
boys.
good is that, no? To see Eben celebrating a Drickers fight when, like he did the World Cup final, he was in it, fully.
Have you seen other way around?
The Drickers
Exactly.
is celebrating as much as anyone. So that's
in the president's suite. That was another thing. He is going chest beating up and everything.
Nah, it's good times. Before we wrap it up, Ella, so what we're doing over the first couple of episodes is we're picking the greatest ever Springbok squad. So we have our front row with, what did it say, with Beast, Marks. And Francie at 3, with the bench next to that. Because you are a loose forward, let's go with the loose forward. So all we need is a 6, 7, 8, and bench players. I want to table it for me. Table it for me. Who's on the short list here?
Can we give him the errors of the years?
Yes.
Because that's another thing. Because maybe just he's what he thinks.
Okay. You're 6, 7, 8. Ella, shoot.
Yeah, it's difficult. There's so many loose forwards that went through a jersey from I was a kid. 6. Let's wait for 7. I'll say PT.
Yeah.
I don't think there's better than him in a 7 jersey. 8. They call him my dad. I'll give it to Dwayne.
You've put your differences from the early training
Okay,
sessions aside.
Can you tell us a little bit what happened there?
That's all I wanted to know. That's all I wanted to know.
That's actually why we ask you to come. Except all the successes, what happened that training session?
First of all, when you've got the ball in your hands and you're seeing a defensive line, what goes through your head? What do you think? Are you thinking, I'm gonna hurt you?
Look, passing is not going through my head. That I can tell you. No, I usually look for a guy that's,
So you'll pick a target. You'll see 5 guys in front of you, and you'll pick your guy.
I'm talking about when I'm like receiving a kickoff for 22.
You're running it back.
And I'm running it back.
Yeah.
I look for one guy, and if you can't look me in the eyes,
It's you.
I know, yeah. But you meet your match once or twice, but
it's a
and
game.
everybody does, right?
It's a game. Yeah, let's go to the Dwayne story. Your dad now.
How did you and your dad meet? Because there's so much about that first couple of weeks at the Bulls, and I want to know the full story.
But even when I retired, I asked him about you, and he told me the story, and I was like, well, this kid he's the real deal, I would say. But he didn't say real deal, and he spoke Afrikaans.
Yeah.
It's a machine.
I think the media definitely blew it up. It wasn't that bad. So it was one of my first training sessions that I was in with the team, and I was on the second, let's call it the second team. And I got the ball, and it was not it was shoulder check, but you're not going to tackle the guy. And I didn't really know it because I was always running at the sidelines. I wasn't in training. It was just when I arrived at the Bulls. And I just didn't really even see who it was, and I ran straight and I ran through him. Obviously, he didn't expect that. So I'm sure if he expected it, it would have been
kind of different.
A different story.
Kind of different story. And few phases after that, or first, Coach Jake called him and he told him, highlighted jou, het jou nou nog gat gemaakt. And Dwayne said, no, I'll show you. And so on a 5-meter line, and I was coming around the corner, and there he was waiting for me. This time he was expecting I'm coming, and he's not going to stand back. So I think he hit me hard twice.
Hard enough.
Hard enough twice, yeah. So after that, he just came to me and he said he respects me for the way I train, and there's no bad blood. And
That's
from that
awesome.
moment on, we're quite good friends.
But in rugby training, there is nothing called a shoulder check. You're gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
You
Especially at the
There's
Bulls.
always there's always one guy.
There's
There's
always
always
one guy.
one guy.
There's
There's always one guy.
At Saracens, there was shoulder check. Bulls, the first training says shoulder check. But
But you get to know your customers.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
You know who you're gonna have to tackle and who you can just
Or someone that you know
actually shoulder check.
that, he's actually gonna adhere
Yeah.
to the laws.
Apart from you, who's the guy at the Bulls that says there's no such thing as shoulder check?
Cornel Hendricks.
Oh, my
There's no
goodness.
such thing as
No.
shoulder check for him.
It's a practice. You're supposed to make sure that you get your technique right.
You have to.
If someone runs a terrible line, the only thing you can do is to compliment him with a hard hit.
Smoke him.
Just say, you know what, you shouldn't do that. This is bad.
Oh no.
So we've got 7, PT.
Yeah.
Dwayne at 8. I need your 6.
This is a difficult one.
Yes, because there's been good ones.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back, Ruben Kriya was.
Yeah.
He was a 7. Francois was a 6.
Yeah, but I mean, they play different.
I
Yeah,
know,
we're allowed to.
I
We're
know.
not.
close.
I know. I just
Like,
had to be that
On
guy.
a point of order, we're allowed to swap out. The children fight all the time. don't
Yeah.
they, guys? On a point of order, we're allowed to swap 6 and 7. It doesn't have to be predominant where you want to pick him, where you want to pick
Then I'll
him.
put Schalk Burger on it as well.
Not a bad
Hey,
call.
it's not a bad combo. That.
I can't really fault it.
Now, how do you fault that whole combo? There's been more exciting players,
Yeah.
but from getting grit, physicality, just a pure work ethic perspective, that's a big.
It's a
big
huge
loose
call.
trio.
It's a huge call because, I mean, this has nothing to do with nothing, right? Yes,
Continue.
I did say that. So, open side flanker number 6. You'd look at the work that was done by Heinrich Rousseau,
Yeah.
At that particular stage, the
and,
Lions.
especially of the laws of those days,
Yeah.
right? Because that's why he could get involved. I mean, there was hands in the malls, hands in
Jeez,
the
he
rough.
was
There was
good.
like, it was free for all. It was a bun fight.
Chaos.
And
Oh, he was
you
good.
give that to a wrestler who is
Yeah.
short as anything. I mean, he's a terrier into that space.
A bun or bum?
A bun. Where are you at? It's gonna come back. So you have that, and then achievements. What Sia has done as a 6, as a captain,
Yep.
and Francois sort of fits into the same space.
You said last week, you said it's purely on talent.
Yes.
No, you
Yeah, you
changed.
came with a- you
No,
did put a
wait,
lot of
no,
rules and
I got so much
parameters
grief
in
for John
there.
Smith last week.
Wait, I'm still going. I'm not finished yet. That's why
You know you don't know where you're going.
I
with
am
this.
going with this. So what I'm trying to say is that there is no one to put into that team. I feel those. I think Sia deserves a mention. Juan
100%.
Smith.
Yes.
Juan Smith at 7 deserves a mention. And when it comes to 8,
Pierce Peace was an athlete at 8.
Joe van Niekerk.
Joe van Niekerk, Big Joe,
Unbelievable.
Big Joe in his prime.
Yeah.
Gary
He was
Teichmann.
real.
Gary.
Gary Teichmann was real. Boys,
I mean,
we
I'm
went
thinking-
17 tests unbeaten.
And I tried to do the hit and spin a couple of times
It's-
from Gary Teichmann. Then I
Yeah.
got smashed a couple of times. I can't hit and spin like him.
We've been blessed.
I think
mean,
that's probably the most difficult position
It
to.
is South
That
Africa.
is
To
the
put
thing
in
because you've got
3
Andre
guys.
Force, Andre Venter, AJ Venter. Like, yes, there's a
when it goes to loose forwards in South Africa.
Don Risso.
Andre
Don
Venter,
Rousseau.
Don Rousseau. Loose forwards and centers. It's
Legs.
tough
No.
in South Africa.
Hooker, bud. That's the worst position.
You were quite quick to pick your hookers last week, so
No, I gotta say, I was referring to John there. No. On talent. Talent.
and then you wanted to get by with, are we picking captains now?
And then you went, oh, you need to know.
Okay, 6 who are we
That is-
picking?
Scala.
Scala at 6,
I
7
wouldn't
PD.
change it. It is just
yeah.
Eric's team.
Honestly, I don't think there's anyone you can. On the
Unless
bench,
you
give
got it
me,
right.
give me 2 guys on the bench. Who are we putting on the bench?
I'll put a fetch on the bench.
Yeah? Pick your boys and who?
I want to pick Sia because he's my captain now.
I'd put Sia in the mix.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's just
and
go
he's
Sia, Front Pino. God lose.
Together.
Yeah, together.
Yeah, like half.
Yeah, celebrity status.
Oh,
And
brilliant.
great players.
I'm happy with that.
I'm happy. We'll take that.
An 8?
Or any other loose wood. Donny Rousseau was quite.
I mean, I grew up.
Johnny
with-
No,
Rousseau
you haven't mentioned Bobby Skinstad coming on.
I'm thinking Bobby Skinstad or Pierspies. That's where I'm at.
Johan Smith.
Johan Smith.
Yeah, but we
Can we pick a whole team made of loose
we
wood?
really can't pick a whole
actually have our own
You
program
can't
of loose
scrum,
wood.
guys. You can't scrum.
Oh,
Marco van Staden can scrum now.
yeah.
If I started
Dion.
as
And Dion.
And you.
No, it's difficult, but yeah.
Yeah, no,
I'll,
You know-
I'll pick Sia for
Yeah.
Fletcher on the bench.
You know, the two guys that made the most impact for me off the bench, the
Yeah.
way we pick now. If you take Bobby Skins in the olden days,
Yeah.
Kwacha.
and Kwacha, 100%.
Yeah.
If that
Yeah.
guy is just absolutely brings energy, well,
Do you know you
Oh,
guys
Bob's
didn't
one.
mention? Rassie Erasmus is a bloody 8.
we've got
Rassie was serious talent.
no.
No.
He was
He was
no,
serious
he was.
talent.
The thing, if you think about the things he evolved, can you remember that All Black test when him and Smiley was playing and they
The
played the
two pass.
inside and the way he analysed stuff, and I can remember the one story he told where he told Nick he was playing and picked and said, Nick, you must play this weekend, and Russ said, no,
Yeah.
don't pick me. He said, well, I mean, everybody wants to play. Says, this team I don't suit. Pick this guy. I'll come off the bench and do this.
He even did that with his captaincy for the Springboks.
Yeah.
Where you felt that maybe he didn't have the sort of ear of the group. And for him to sort of put himself, I mean, that is a massive honor, right?
I mean, let's just get that out there. Rassie's going to coach this team, isn't he? If we go on the greatest ever Bok coach, it has to be Rassie, no?
What?
Just as a coach.
Yeah, 100%.
So he doesn't have to play. He does. We're just picking him as a coach as well.
Oh, well, you guys going to go, okay, well, the best ran Nick Mallet. Then who is else one?
And Nick was a
Jake
great
White, he's the
eighth
other. He's the other coach. So then you all sit on the bench here.
Actually,
the talent.
Ella, tell me about the differences now that you mention it. The differences between Jake and Rassie. I mean, two very good coaches, two seasoned coaches, well-traveled, a lot of achievements. What's the biggest difference between the two?
I think
Ooh, you've asked him a very difficult question
is,
because
it
both
is.
of them is his coaches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
someone's going to
Just remember, both pay your salary.
Yeah. We like both of
Both
you.
pick
Well,
you.
we're not here. We're here
No,
to
I
make
think
sure you keep
I
your
think
job.
Yeah.
I won't upset anyone
Yeah.
with this, but I think Rassie's more a hands-on
Yeah.
type of guy. He gets involved in training. He's running around,
Yeah.
kicking balls, getting between rucks,
Yeah.
simulating oppositions. While Jake is more of a delegator. What's
Yeah.
the word in English?
Facilitator.
Yeah, so he gets his coaches underneath him into his vision
Yeah.
and where he wants to go, and he lays off a bit after that.
That's between 65 and 53. That's a difference.
Yeah. Must be. Huh?
And one has played for the Springboks and the one hasn't. And
Who
but
played hooker?
Who?
Jake.
Really?
Yeah.
They I've learned something else.
Yeah.
Don't
Something
worry, I'm
new.
here. I'm
Every
here all
day,
day.
every day is a school day, both.
Oh, there you go.
Ella, the next 2 weeks, building up to the All Blacks, where's your head at the moment? Are you thinking that far ahead, or are you just enjoying the break, being back with family, being back in the Republic?
Well, who is with us today in studio that is hiding?
No, don't
Turn
do
the
that,
camera. No, I haven't think that far yet. So obviously, I only arrived here this morning, so I've slept a bit today. I haven't thought much about rugby.
You look like you haven't traveled, so that's good.
Yeah, no, I'm actually feeling all right. But yeah, to your question, I haven't thought that far. But I'm really excited to go back and get the week going leading up to the New Zealand tests.
When are you
Gonna buy the ring?
Jeepers.
If you ever, we've asked him about
wait.
We've asked him about the best Springboks he's played with, and you asked him about an engagement ring, and it's the first time he's quiet.
We in South Africa, right? All of a sudden, this man is stepping up to do the Lobola negotiations.
Schalla, you can go and do the negotiations. When are you joining the Bulls? What's the thought ahead of the URC season?
No, I haven't heard exactly when we'll be joining there. But I think we excited to maybe try and fix what we lost last season.
Yeah.
It was a
It was an amazing season.
bitter
Yeah,
pill
it
to
was.
swallow to lose it at the end. So
One
I
more.
think,
You had it.
yeah.
Was it-
So I think the guys are hungry to go.
I want to ask you one question, and the elder statesman over there can assist. And it's a bit of a hypothetical. So we're 15 years down the line. What would you have liked to achieve as a Bok, as a Bulls player, as a South African rugby player? What does the Elrigh Louw success story look like in 10, 15 years from now?
Yeah, I definitely want to win a few trophies with the Bulls. That's a massive goal for me. So my contract ends, and I don't know what's going to happen after that in 2027. So I want to do it as
You're not
fast
waiting
We
around.
sign him.
as
we
fast
sign
as
him.
possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely a goal for me, and I don't think you can ever put a
A number.
number on a certain caps.
Yeah.
You want to play for the box. I think you want to play as much as you.
But it's not 7.
No, it's
Yeah.
definitely not
Yeah.
7.
Or 10 or 15.
Yeah, no, they
So-
mustn't call you.
Yeah, as much as I can possibly play for the box.
If I may ask, so the break wasn't long, Bulls, then you go straight into. Do you have a week off? Did you not have a week off? I'm trying to understand from a player's safety, health, race
Yeah.
perspective. So then it is Wales, then it's Ireland, then it's Portugal, and then it's now this. How long break do you actually have off? Because I don't think the public think you've got a week off now, but
Yeah.
you recuperate, and then it's New Zealand, then it's Argentina, and then it's
URC.
Bulls, then it's URC. So when do you actually rest?
No, look, there's guys that didn't even get a week off. I think the guys that I wasn't involved in
Yeah, I know.
the first couple of tests, so I actually got a few weeks off. I think it was 2 weeks that I got off to rest a bit. But Marco, Gary, those guys didn't even get a week off. So it is like you said, and if they have to play URC when it starts, they're not having off. And I don't think people actually understand what
That's
toll
exactly
that
why I
takes
asked the question.
on your body and even your mental aspect of the game.
Yeah.
You get really tired, and it's hard to stay focused on the task at the stage.
Yeah.
You're so fatigued.
Last week, Schala, you mentioned that discussed the Curry Cup and the place that it has and the kind of in the rugby calendar, and that's the kind of point that you made, is to say
100%.
there's so much rugby, and we're expecting players to play so much rugby through the year that if you're playing for a living, mate, you're never having a break. You are just full on.
The problem I've got is there isn't a set amount. In the UK now, there's a set amount of weeks you have to have off. The unfortunate thing for players is injuries. Injury shouldn't be your break,
No,
right? So
surely not.
your body shouldn't break, and then you have time off,
Yeah.
because you get the operation, then it's back to rehab, and then it's back to fighting to get up into position of the team. So for me, it is for the health of the players, from a mental perspective, from a physical perspective. And the unfortunate thing is, maybe you don't get injured in the first season, not maybe in the second season, but you will get then, if you are overplayed, you will get injured. Or the worst thing that can, well, that's a bad thing that can happen. But what is worse is performance.
Yeah.
Because when you run onto, no player goes onto the pitch, and we can talk as both as has-beens, is you never go into the pitch once you play a bad game.
Yeah.
You never, there are very few games that you run into the pitch where there isn't some kind of niggle as well.
Yeah.
And
You're
the
hardly ever fully fit.
the unfortunate thing is, you're in a game that requires performance,
Yeah.
and it's for everyone to see.
I mean, just when we rocked up this afternoon, Schala was lying on the floor saying his back is sore.
yeah. You have to protect the back.
Thank you, John Smith.
It's,
Bismarck.
it is an attritional game.
Yeah.
I think setting up time breaks, because like for instance, I used to find Super Rugby quite daunting after 6 weeks, because you've been training for 3 months before that to get ready for the games and everything, and then the season starts. Now you're 6 weeks into the season, and you've been doing exactly the same thing. You know exactly what Monday feels and looks like, smells like. You know exactly what's going to happen on
variation.
Tuesday. And it just becomes repetitive. After 6 weeks, you get to that stage where you're sitting back, you're going like, I need to do something different. I just need a break from this, because to your creativity, you know, getting excited of just running a switch, which you do when you first preseason, you're like, you're interested in everything that has to do with the game, to now having like a bit of a sluggish mentality when it comes to the simple things that you really do enjoy about the game. And that has to be a focus in terms of making sure that the players stay mentally fresh, move away from the sport, do something different, cut away the game from you. Like, you don't even want to see it because you do so much research. And
Is it possible? Is it possible to, like, you're in it? Is it possible to get away from rugby? When last was there a day where you didn't think about rugby?
Yeah, I think like after that final, I just had, like you said, I had to just get away from rugby for a bit. And we went hunting, we went to the bush, put your phone away. Don't see any media, don't go onto social media. So you are, at that stage, it felt to me like I am away from the game.
Would you rather have one long break, or rather a lot of different small 2 weeks in between during this this long season?
It depends.
Yeah, that's it.
If you're on form,
you don't want a break.
That is.
But form doesn't mean that you're healthy.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
At some point, again, it's that thing about, like, you play rugby, you aren't rugby. You don't live rugby.
I'll actually take 2 weeks every now and again, then one long one.
Well, because you don't want to get fit again.
That is 100% the truth.
That's 100%.
That is hard. And preseason is crap. Preseason is so crap.
It doesn't get...
Bleep.
It always gets worse.
Bleep.
Oh.
No, but I think you take for granted what even 2 days of rest can do for you. So 2 weeks here and there, I think will be better than a 1 month away and coming back unfit and have to run yourself to pieces again. That's quite a daunting thought.
After 2 weeks, you become deconditioned.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks is like a good break. You can go to the Maldives and get married or engaged.
I mean,
It's a lovely place to go. It really is. You are thinking about.
Yeah.
On the story of the preseason and players making their decisions about preseason, I once played with a fellow good gentle giant called Buxton now. Me too. Remember?
Yeah.
So Buxton, we were doing those 3Ks around the Joburg Stadium on the track. So that track leads up to a ramp. So everyone was running. Buxton just started climbing up the ramp into his buggy, gave the coach a call. Thank you so much. It was great.
I'm done.
That's what preseason does to players.
On that note, we're going to wrap it up. This has been the Good and Bad The Rugby South Africa, our 3rd episode. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, get involved with the show however way you want. If you want to pick your all-time greatest Springboks, do so in the comments down below. We'll have a look at it next week, and we'll get the two wise men to critique your greatest ever team. Ella, my guy from the bottom of the heart, thank you so much. I know it's a quick turnaround for you, but thank you for making the time. Thank you for coming to have a chat with us, and for the missus for allowing you out of the home.
No, thanks. It was awesome.
For an hour and a bit.
Can you just say the following? He's an unbelievable rugby player, but is a better human being.
Really is.
And that is...
Thank you so much.
That is...
We really appreciate that. We're grateful.
On that note, we're done. Thank you so much.
Cheers.